Hey, welcome back to Linguist Rising. I'm so glad you're here for Chapter 3. Today, we're going to get into some seriously interesting new letters, some of which make sounds you might have never made before in your life. We're also going to look at a tiny little symbol that completely changes how you read words, and then we'll tie it all together with some must-know phrases for greeting people.
So, here's what's on the docket. First, we'll meet a group of letters that are so similar, I call them the three sisters. After that, we'll talk about the sound of silence and this little thing called the sukoon. Then, we'll check out some really clever letters that can do two jobs at once. And finally, we'll see how to actually use all this stuff to greet people and get a feel for the culture behind those greetings. Sound good? Let's get started. All right, first up, we've got these three letters. Now, they are super closely related. They all share the exact same base shape, and really the only thing that sets them apart is where a little dot is placed.
Our first sister is the letter Jim. You'll see it has 4 different forms, right? It depends on whether it's at the beginning, middle, or end of a word, or just by itself. But what's really wild is its pronunciation. Depending on where you are in the Arab world, you might hear it as a J, like in Jack, a softer sound like the J in the French word bonjour, or if you're in Cairo, it sounds like a hard G as in game. Okay, so how do we actually write this thing? You can trace it in the air with me. You start a little above the line with a small hook, then go straight across, and then you just sweep down into this big curvy tail that dips below the line. And see how when it's at the beginning of a word, that horizontal line just keeps right on going to connect to whatever's next? Go ahead, give it a few tries. That muscle memory is key. All right, next up is our second sister, ha. Now, this one is a classic for English speakers because, well, we just don't have the sound. It comes from way back in your throat. The best way to find it is to pretend you're fogging up a pair of glasses. Ha. Okay, now do that again, but this time gently tighten the muscles in your throat. You want to make the sound a bit more focused, more raspy. Ha. It's this very breathy, unique sound. Give it a shot. Ha. And you know what the best part is? Writing ha is a piece of cake. It's the exact same shape as Jim, but there's no dot at all. Same movement, just cleaner. See what we call them sisters? You learn the shape for one, you've pretty much learned it for all 3. And that brings us to our final sister, kha. You've probably heard this sound before, even if you didn't realize it. Think of the Scottish word lock or the German composer Bach. It's that kind of gravelly, vibrating sound you make at the very back of your throat. Try it. Ha. You should feel the air kind of scraping over the top of your tongue back there. And to write ka, well, you can probably guess. It's the same shape again. The only difference here is the dot goes above the letter. So let's just quickly recap the family. Jim gets a dot right in its belly. Ha has no dot at all, and ka has a dot on top. It's a pretty simple system once you see it laid out. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. We're going to look at something that isn't even a letter, but you absolutely have to know it for correct pronunciation. It's called the sukoon. You see this tiny little circle here? That's a sukoon, and its name literally means silence, which is a perfect description of what it does. When you see a sukoon sitting on top of a consonant, that's your signal to stop. It means there is no vowel sound coming after it. Think of it like a period at the end of a syllable. It tells you the sound ends here. Let's look at the perfect example. The word taht, which means below. The word is spelled with a ta, a ha, and another ta. Notice that little circle on the middle letter, the ha? That's our sukoon. It's telling us to mash those first 2 letters together into one syllable, taht. It basically slams the door on that sound. Honestly, without the sukoon, trying to read Arabic would just be a guessing game. Now for something I think is super cool about Arabic. Some letters can actually pull double duty. They can act as either a long vowel or as a consonant, and it all depends on the context. Okay, so let's start with the letter waw. We've already met this letter as the long vowel that makes that oo sound, right? But waw has a secret identity. If it has any other vowel right before or right after it, it stops being a vowel and it becomes a consonant. It makes the wah sound, like in the word well. Its entire job changes just based on its neighbors. And there's more. Wow can team up with a short vowel to create something called a diphthong, which is really just a fancy word for 2 vowel sounds that are blended together. So when you have a fat ha, that's the ah sound, and it's followed by a wow that has a sukoon on it, they combine to make an ah sound, just like in the English word now. Our second multitasking letter is ya. And you know what? It works exactly the same way as wa. You already know it as the long vowel e, like in meat.
But if another vowel shows up next to it, it switches jobs and becomes the consonant y, like in yes.
In yup, ya also makes a diphthong. When you have a fatha followed by a ya with a sukoon, you get the a sound, like in say. The classic example is the word for house, which is bait. You can hear it right there. B-A-T. Pretty straightforward, right?
Okay, we've gone through a lot of the technical stuff. Now let's get to the fun part and see how we can put some of this to use with words you can actually see to people every single day. This chart is gold. It shows you the greetings in formal, written Arabic, and then compares them to two of the big spoken dialects, Shami and Masri. Just listen to the difference. For good morning, the formal way is sabah al-khair, but in both dialects, you're going to hear sabah al-kir. And for how are you? Formally, you'd say kaifa al-hal, but in Shami, it's a much more casual kifak, and in Masri, it's zayak. You see, the very sounds we've just been learning are right here in these everyday phrases. But here's the thing, these phrases are so much more than just words on a list. They're tied directly to the culture, and understanding that is just as important as getting the pronunciation right. And this is something you really want to take to heart. In Arab culture, these greetings aren't just polite suggestions like they can sometimes be in English. They're a core part of daily life. Acknowledging someone you know, even just an acquaintance, with a good morning, is a fundamental sign of respect. It's how you build and maintain that connection. It's a small thing that has real cultural meaning. Finally, I want to talk about a phrase you will hear all the time, alhamdulillah. Now, it literally translates to praise be to God, but its everyday use goes way beyond any religious context. It's used by people from all backgrounds. It's the standard response to how are you as a way to show gratitude for your situation, good or bad. You'll also hear it after someone finishes a meal, completes a big project, or hears good news. It's this beautiful little expression of gratitude that pops up everywhere in daily life. And that's a wrap on Chapter 3. We've tackled some brand new sounds, figured out the symbol for silence, and learned how to use all of it in real conversations. You've got a fantastic new set of tools to work with, so my only question for you is, which one of these greetings are you going to practice today?